Hey everyone, let me get some light shined on here a little bit so I can check if the mail is going to come or not, because I got to drop off some Netflix DVDs that I rented. Some in here. You know, but let's talk about an age-old question. Well, not age-old, but a question that's been coming around since the dawn of Blu-ray. You know, a lot of people, like David Bunch of Numbers, Zara Nizarak, you name them, have all been trying to answer that question for people. Can classic cartoons, or cartoons of any kind, be released on Blu-ray? Can they get a Blu-ray release? And the answer is yes. Yes, they can get a Blu-ray release. But you see, the only difference though, for them to get a Blu-ray release is if, as Zara Nizarak said in his last video on the whole Transformer deal, is if, and I mean if, you just transfer all the episodes off the master tape, or even the DVD that they're on, onto Blu-ray and up the bit rate. That's about it. See, the closest you can actually get to that, though, even without doing that, and I've explained this before, and I know some people would agree on this, the best way you could really get to that, though, is if you have a regular DVD player with an HDMI output, or input, whatever you want to call it, and your HD TV has an HDMI output or input, basically. Once you have that, once you have a DVD player with an HDMI output and an HD TV with an HDMI input, basically that's the closest you're going to get. Because if your TV is 1080p, or even nowadays, let's say 4K, if you will, then you're going to see your show that you wanted, your nostalgic cartoon that you want to see in HD, you're going to see it, basically, you're going to be able to see that nostalgic cartoon that you want to see in high def on Blu-ray. You're going to be able to see it on high def courtesy of your HDMI DVD player and the HDMI input on your HD TV, 1080 HD TV, or now nowadays, coming very soon, 4K televisions. You're going to be able to see it the way you want to see it, even though it would just be going through a Blu-ray. The cable, the HDMI cable, is basically doing what Sean McLean, Zara Nizarak, has said. It's upping the bit rate of what you put into the DVD player so that you get a crisper, clearer picture the way it was intended to be. When I watched Sadie Am the first time on there, Sonic the Hedgehog Sadie Am, I took a picture of this and put it on DeviantArt, and the picture, a lot of people even said looked clear, looked crisp, saying it definitely looked HD. And it was. Because here's two things that an HDMI cable does that people want to see done with a transfer or release on Blu-ray. What it does is basically not only does it up the bit rate so it looks like it's in high def quality, but it spreads the picture out so far that it looks like it was originally meant to be a widescreen picture. If you get my grip. The only difference is sometimes you'll see a little black bar on the side, or one or two little black bars on the sides or on the tops, indicating that it's a full screen presentation, and that the only way you could actually get a widescreen high def picture out of it is if you press the wide button. If you press the wide button on your DVD remote. I mean, not DVD remote, but on your TV remote, on your HD TV remote. You go from normal to wide, there you go. And you get it in standard definition. You do. I mean, not standard, but you get it in widescreen, no black bars or anything, and it's in 1080p. And that's exactly what fans are asking for. They are asking for when they say, can our certain shows certain cartoons be put on Blu-ray? Because we want to see them in Blu-ray. And again, I can understand that, Sean McLean can understand that, David Bunch and others can understand it. Anybody that's had this question asked can understand that. But what I'm trying to say is, yes, it'd be nice to have him on Blu-ray because you could pretty much say, hey, look, here's Heathcliff. Mill Creek basically put about 32 episodes on 4 discs here. 4 discs worth of 32 episodes. The bit rate's a little lower than the Shout Factory release, but still, this is what they're saying. They would like to see this upped a bit to that high def quality, but here's the thing. They want to see it on Blu-ray and everything. They want to see that high definition quality. But this is what we're saying. You can pop this into an HDMI DVD player with an HDMI, output, core, basically an HDMI DVD player which is connected to your HD TV or your 4K TV or whatever you have. And basically you would get this exactly the same way as you would see if you did get a Blu-ray release off of it. But you see, here's the thing though. People are not going to go back in time, fix up on the mistakes courtesy of the 35mm film prints. No, they're going to do exactly what Zero Nizarek said they're going to do. They're going to take all the episodes, put them on a Blu-ray, up the bit rate, and that's it. Why would they want to do that when they know there is HDMI cables, HDMI DVD players, HDMI Blu-ray players, that basically when you pop something like this in there, ups it up to that Blu-ray bit that you want? I'm just saying. Again though, hear me out. I'm not saying I would not like to see Blu-ray releases of these shows. I'm not saying that. I would love to see a Blu-ray release of Heathcliff. I would. But here's the thing. All they'd be doing, 32 episodes are crammed on the 4 discs here. We know there's more episodes that are supposed to be released. But basically, you'd be having the entire series released on basically you would basically have the entire series released on what is equivalent to what's on here right now. The 4 discs on here, if they were Blu-ray discs, this would be the entire series if these were Blu-rays. No joke. Now, as far as cartoons that can be converted onto Blu-ray and have a definite official Blu-ray release, in my opinion, those cartoons are the ones back from the 40s, back from the 20s to basically about the early 70s. That's right. Those are the ones I feel could get a Blu-ray release from the 20s all the way up to the early to maybe mid 70s. I feel those are the ones that can get a Blu-ray release, and here's why. As we got into the mid to late 70s, VHS master tapes were really starting to come into their own. Not saying they weren't coming into their own when they were back in the 60s and the 50s on that. They were, but they weren't as prevalent. Mostly, a lot of what you saw was broadcast, not just on broadcast tape, but the 35mm film or something. They did something to where you got shows that were broadcast on master tapes, but more so on the kind of master tape, broadcast tapes, whatever you want to call them, that can be converted to Blu-ray. Because they would essentially they were using the film prints. They were using what was on film. So you take a look at, let's say, something like Popeye. All these are the theatrical Popeye cartoons. Now you might say, okay, well, how did these get broadcasted on television? It's real simple. They were taken from the 35mm film prints. So cartoons like Popeye, classic shows from the 50s and 60s and maybe early 70s, like Yogi's, some of the Yogi Bear shows and some of the Space Ghost and whatever else out there, Flintstones, you name them. Those potentially could get official Blu-ray releases without just having the episodes slapped onto 1 or 2 Blu-rays and that's it. No, you could actually have Blu-ray releases and official conversions into high-def quality, if you will, with those shows because of when they were done. Now I know I might get corrected here, and that's fine. It's just what I feel. It's just how I feel about how I see it, of what ones I see could actually get that Blu-ray release. But when you take a look, like I said, at classic cartoons like Popeye, like let's say this is the 75th anniversary collector's edition. This was released in 2004. So we're going on the 85th collection soon. But you take a look at this, and then you take a look at these, the Mickey Mouse shorts, theatrical shorts as well. And the fact is, these, along with this, and let's say some of the Bugs Bunny cartoons and all that, Warner Brothers cartoons that were theatrical shorts, those, if you want cartoons on Blu-ray, can get converted, can be upped into a Blu-ray release, up for a Blu-ray release. They can be. See, it all depends on when the show or when the cartoon was made. In the case of Mickey Mouse and Popeye and Bugs Bunny, those shorts from the 40s to the 60s and whatever, if they were shown theatrically, the Blu-ray release, they are Blu-ray worthy. They are capable and compatible for a Blu-ray release. If a show like, let's say, Yogi Bears, Star Trek, animated series, Dick Tracy, you name it, if shows like that, maybe even the classic Spider-Man, where they're just like cutouts from the comics doing this, shows like that, like let's say Huckleberry Hound, Rough and Ready, like I said, the Flintstones, maybe even the Jetsons, the 60s version. All of those are potentially are compatible for Blu-ray conversion, for Blu-ray release. Not saying they are, but the potentially compatible, the potentially Blu-ray compatible, or can be potentially converted into high quality, high definition Blu-ray because of when they were released. Not saying that's the case though. I'm saying that the shows from the late 50s throughout up to the early to mid 70s potentially can have Blu-ray conversions done to them for Blu-ray release. Not saying they can. Not saying they can't. It's just potential. But again, the only cartoons that you could ever actually see that can get proper conversions to Blu-ray without no problems are the ones that were shown theatrically. Like the Popeye cartoons, the Mickey Mouse cartoons, the Donald Duck cartoons, the Daffy cartoons, the Bugs Bunny cartoons, the Mighty Mouse cartoons from back in the day, the Felix cartoons, those, the Betty Boop ones, those are the ones that have the strongest possibility of Blu-ray conversion because they were shown theatrically. Now again though, age-old question. What about the cartoons after that? The ones that were broadcast on television, like Heathcliff. Again, that's all dependent on if they want to do that. Sure, someone like Mill Creek could say, yeah, people want it on Blu-ray, let's just put the entire series on a 2-disc Blu-ray. Boom! There you go. 2 or 4-disc Blu-ray. Boom! There you go. Up the quality a bit, that's it. That's it. That's all you get. And maybe they probably add little menu things or little background things because it would be a 4:3 deal. Who knows? But anyway, that's all they would probably do. Same with Transformers. Same with G.I. Joe. Same with He-Man and She-Ra. Same with Inhumanoids. Galaxy Rangers. Heck, Zero Nizrak used Galaxy Rangers as an example, saying that in the UK, they slapped all the episodes from DVD and just put them onto Blu-ray. That's it. And they just upped the quality a bit. That's it. That's all you would get. Even the Disney afternoon shows, like DuckTales, Gummy Bears, Rescue Rangers, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, Gargoyles, Bonkers, all those, Mighty Ducks, and the list could go on. All those shows potentially could have Blu-ray releases done to them, but only to the point that the Blu-ray releases would just be the episodes from the DVD releases or the VHS master tape releases slabbed onto Blu-ray with the bitrate up to it. And that's what I was talking about earlier, saying that why would you want to do that if, let's say, you have an HD TV 1080p version, or a 4K TV if you can even afford one of those, and you have, let's say, a DVD player with an HDMI output, connected to, let's say, an HD or 4K TV with an HDMI input. Why would you want that when an HDMI DVD player combined with an HD TV or 4K TV, can give you that same quality because of the cable you bought for it? I mean, an HDMI cable can give you that same quality because what it's doing is the signal's going through the cable and doing exactly what would happen if the shows were put onto Blu-ray. It's just converting the screen almost to full widescreen and just upping the bit rate and the quality a bit, and just upping the quality and the bit rate just by a few pegs, maybe by 10 pegs or 5 pegs, and that's it. They're just upping the bit rate through that little while. The signal's just converting itself into sort of a signal that converts the picture and the sound to almost Blu-ray quality. So why would you want to ask if those can happen if an HDMI cable gives you that right there? I'm just saying, folks. But the point is, can the classic cartoons from the 20's, from the late 20's to up to the, let's say, the late 90's, can they be put on Blu-ray? Yes, no doubt about it. But they would be mostly just slabbed in there. Again, though, it all depends on who makes them. But again, most of the time, the majority of the answer would be they could just be slabbed in there. Just, like I said, just take the episodes of, let's say, Heathcliff, take these 32 along with the rest, and the 4 discs you see here would be the complete series if these were 4 Blu-rays. That's basically it. But again, why would you do that when an HDMI cable connected to an HDMI DVD e-player, connected to an HD TV or even a 4K TV if you can afford one of those, can pretty much do that for you at a cheaper price? Again, yes, they can be put on Blu-ray, but all they'd be would be thrown on there with the bitrate converted. Bitrate up to bit, just like that. Again, though, the only cartoons that could probably see potential, have a strong chance of being Blu-ray converted would be the theatrical ones of Mickey, Minnie, Popeye, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Donald, Daisy, Goofy, you name it. Those would be the only ones. And again, the potential ones, the potential cartoons of the 50's throughout the early to mid 70's, yeah, those potentially could have Blu-ray conversion done to them, but it would all depend on the quality and if it would be worth it to them. And mostly, it would depend on what kind of tape all the editing was done on. So, that's about it. That's all I'm going to say on the question of can cartoons, classic cartoons of the 20's up to the late 20's up to the classic cartoons from basically the 20's to the late 90's or to the 90's be released on Blu-ray. Well, hopefully I answered your question. If not, I apologize for the confusion, but I did the best I could. Let me know what you guys think down below. I would love to hear a video response from you guys, and I'll talk to you all later.